we have 7 board members now, so hopefully somebody joins us for the closed session. But anyway, calls to order 4:30. Starting with roll call. You want to start us out, Brian Melky?
Sure. Brian Milkey, Union Township, Isabella County, State of Michigan.
Dave Coyne, Union Township, Isabella County.
Sagi Chaudhary, calling from Seattle, Washington, present.
Jeff Sweet, Union Township, Isabella County.
Robert Bacon, Union Township, Isabella County.
Jim Zalid, Union Township, Isabella County.
And Tom Keequam, Union Township, Isabella County. Moving on to item 3, approval of the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as is.
I second it.
Motion to approve tonight's agenda by Mr. Coyne, supported by Mr. Chowdhury. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. And the agenda is approved. Let's go on to agenda item number 4, approval of the meeting minutes of May 18th, 2021, regular meeting. I think everybody has that in your packet.
I'll move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Who was the second?
Jeff Sweet.
Okay. Motion by Brian Milkey to approve last month's meeting minutes, supported by Jeff Sweet. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. And the minutes are approved. Item 5, presentations. We have anything there, Rodney?
Nothing today, no.
On to agenda item number 6, public comment.
We do not have any of the public with us. We do have Jennifer Hodges, who is with us as a panelist. She is here for an item on the agenda later on the agenda, the closed session item number 11. So no public here.
Okay. No public here. Let's move on to agenda item number 7, reports. You want to walk us through accounts payable, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm gonna start out with the East DDA accounts payable. We have a check to Be Green Lawn Services for $2,267. That's for fertilizer along Pickard Street. And then we have a check to Charter Township of Union Water Department for $675. That's for a water meter replacement for the irrigation system. And then we have a check to CIB Planning. That's 2 progress payments for the East DDA Development Plan update. The total amount of that check is $4,844.25. And then we have a payment to Goner Lawn Care. This payments for $5,350. That's for spring cleanup along Pickard and mowing on Pickard, I believe for the months of April and May. And then we have a check to MMI for ground maintenance and cleanup around the park benches and up and down Pickard corridor for $922. The total accounts payable run this month is $14,058.25 for the East DDA. Are there any questions on any of that?
Hearing no questions, can I get a motion to approve the payables for the East DDA, please?
Move that we approve the bills for the East DDA as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Jim Zalid, supported by Dave Coyne, to approve the East DDA payables from May 19th to June 15th. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. And the East DDA payables are approved. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the West DDA accounts payable. We just have one check issued to CIB planning. That's for the development plan update in the West DDA. And the amount of that check is $4,844.25. That's the total amount for the accounts payable for the West DDA this month.
I move that we pay that bill for the West DDA.
Support.
Motion by Zalid, support by Melky, to approve the West DDA payables. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same. And the West DDA is approved.
Okay, moving on to the financials for the East DDA. I'll start with the revenue and expenditure report. When you look at the revenues, you can see that right now, the revenues are about 89% of budget. That's because we have the current property tax recorded for the year of 2021. That shouldn't change for the rest of the year. And then we have expenditures. The expenditures, everything is posted here up through May 31st. All of the payables that you just approved are posted here in the expenditure area. And currently, the total expenditures are coming in at about 5% of budget for the East DDA. And then moving on to the balance sheet for the East DDA, you can see that the total assets there are about 2.1 million. And the ending fund balance is estimated to be a little under 2.1 million. Are there any questions on the financials for the East DDA? If not, I'll move on to the West DDA. Looking at the revenue and expenditure report for the West DDA, the revenues, if we look to the revenue line, you can see that the revenues are coming in at about 102%. We'll probably be doing a budget amendment for that in the next few months. And then the expenditures are sitting at about 1.7% of budget. Everything's looking good there. And then moving on to the balance sheet, you can see that total assets are about 1.5 million. And right now the ending fund balance is about 1.5 million. Are there any questions on anything in the West DDA financial statements?
I guess this is not directly related, but kind of is. On both the east and west, there's the line item for the public safety fire protection. And as I understand it, the feds basically gave some COVID relief money to the city related to the fire services, and the city in turn reimbursed us for our portion of the contract. Will that reflect back to the EDA? Some credit?
That is something I guess we'll have to think about. I had not thought about that. Yeah, the line item that you're talking about is I'll have to discuss that with the manager and get back to you on
Okay,
it.
I was just curious. And in light of that too, it's nice to point out the city was very generous. They didn't have to share that with us, but they chose to because of our contract with them. So kudos to the city for that too. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Well said.
Any more questions on the financial statements? Hearing none, let's note for the record, the meeting minutes, the May financial reports were presented and received and filed. Thank you, Jerry.
Yep, thank you.
Item 7C, board member matrix. Keep an eye on your expiration dates. We getting any closer on filling the vacant seat? Anybody know?
I would say I haven't heard any progress in this last month. I think Bill Howick and I have been the two that have really been driving that, but you know, people on this board can certainly be active in that too, to fill that seat. But no progress, and I wish that wasn't the case.
Moving on to agenda 8, new business. Item 8A. What do you got there, Rodney?
So we have a requirement under the state act we operate under, Act 57, to hold 2 informational meetings each year. This is separate from our regular schedule, where we are simply available to the other taxing jurisdictions from which we capture revenues, which is basically the county, to answer any questions they may have, to essentially present our annual report for last year, for 2020. Which wrapping up, it didn't quite get done in time for this packet, but wrapping it up this week, in fact. So the first of those meetings was intended to be on June 22nd. We, of course, are in the midst of our plan update, and right now we're scheduling a meeting with the county, an internal meeting with the county that Brian has been very helpful with, to talk about our plan to update the East and West EDA districts' development and tax increment financing plans, and also to talk about potential expansion of the East EDA district. the timing of that meeting was basically in the same range as this informational meeting. And to avoid confusion, we'd like to just postpone our informational meeting, which is really talking about last year, so we can focus with the county on this development plan project, and then have our informational meetings a little bit later in the summer. So we've provided 4 dates there that are all open on the township's calendar, and don't conflict with the other date, which is September 28th. So we do have the other informational meeting is scheduled for September 28th. So we can have them close together. So we could even have them, the second one in October if we choose. We can do it in August or even late July, any of those 4 dates. But we'd like to go ahead and postpone the June 22nd meeting and reschedule it.
Sounds pretty straightforward to me. Rodney has a request for EDA board action in the motion. If anybody wants to make a motion?
Do we have to pick like 2 dates or?
Well, we just need to pick one of those 4 that you see there in the scope of activity: July 27th, August 24th, October 14th, or October 28th. So I don't know if anybody has a preference, or if any of those dates are should be blacked out.
I'll know, seeing that we have to have a quorum, I won't be able to make the July 27th one. But if others can, I don't certainly have to be there. But if others are on vacation or something, then at that same time, might be a bad date.
Yeah, we would need to have a minimum of six members present, because we do need to have a minimum quorum in order to hold the informational meeting.
Are there other conflicts that people have?
I would prefer the July or the August, if possible. But I could make any of 4 of them work.
Well, does it, I have to get, I can get my calendar and look at it a little closer.
Tom, with you being chair, do any of those dates conflict with you?
I'm thinking I can make any of them work, but I just want to, for the staff purpose, I'd be favorable if you guys needed more time to go out to October, or if you can pull it off by August 24th. Why, just curiosity, why didn't you have September in there?
Well, September, we already have a date then. We have the September 20.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
You have those glasses, Joyce?
So what do you recommend, Rodney, August 24th or October 14th?
Chris, do you have the reading glasses?
The August, it sounds like the July or August date would be best. It sounds like maybe the August date might be the best of the choices. I certainly have no objection to it.
I would make a motion to move the meeting to Tuesday, August 24th, 2021.
You just have water on, I couldn't see hardly at all.
Support that.
Now I can't hear anything.
We can hear you, Marty.
For the request for EDA board action to revise the 2021 EDA meeting schedule, to postpone and reschedule the June 22nd informational meeting to Tuesday, August 24th, 2021. Have a motion on the floor by Jeff Sweet, supported by Brian Milkey.
Okay.
Any questions?
I'm assuming we're targeting 4:30?
4:30, yes. Yep.
I can't get video or audio, Joyce.
Hearing no more comments, all in favor of that EDA board action motion, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. And the motion is approved. Thank you.
August 24th.
So it looks like we have 8 now, Rodney. We can probably do the closed session if we can get Marty's sound figured out.
Can we suggest that maybe Marty call in as well?
I think he tried to call in. There was a phone number on there, and you heard the feedback for a moment. I was going to actually mute his video so he could hear through that. But yeah, he could certainly telephone in again. So we could take care of, in the meantime, we can move on forward with the agenda until we get there.
It says, look, it says mute my
Sure.
alternate plus A. Alternate plus A.
Yeah, you can start, Rodney, if you have
Good plus sign on there.
good one, Ryan.
Okay. Well, the next item 8B, is a proposal. This is, we noted as a discussion item. It can become an action if the EDA is interested. We have a project that has come into the East EDA district. It's a Dollar General that is proposed to be located directly to the east of the Burger King on the south side of Pickard Road, just east of Isabella Road. There's right now it's a mostly vacant lot. There's a small single-story house there. There's a party store on the corner at Florence that would be the other side of that lot. The party store would be staying, but the Dollar General would be on that proposed go in that space in between. As part of that project, you see included in the agenda packet excerpt from the site plan that shows that they have proposed the idea of donating the land at the back of the lot to the township, with the idea of that the township could basically to the East EDA district, the idea that you could potentially create a back access drive or alleyway at some point in the future that could connect on to other properties, including the Burger King. Part of the reason for this, well, the main reason for this proposal is that the township has a requirement that they provide cross access in between properties, commercial properties. They have 2 ways they can go here. They have Florence Street to make that connection, and Burger King obviously on the other side. We've had conversations with the Burger King. The Burger King has to be amenable to the idea of allowing a cross access. They are not. They are absolutely adamant against it for various business related reasons. They don't want to make any kind of a connection. And so essentially this was an idea to kind of satisfy the ordinance requirement without having to actually try to force anything or build anything. The issue with Florence Street is that there's a house on the east side of Florence that where the drive would come out, depending on how they orient it, could be essentially putting headlights right into their front windows. So this was Dollar General's proposal to try to get around that, basically turn the situation over to the East DDA. We've looked at this, and we looked at it from the perspective of could this create some interesting synergy? Could we do something with this? And as we noted in the memo, there's some potential down the road that we could have kind of a back access drive that could continue down Isabella for the properties in front along Isabella. But there's no land for that right now. There's no direct connection for that right now, and really no prospects for it in the future. It would take an active effort and actually demolishing a building on to the south of Burger King to make it happen. So it is definitely a long range idea. From the perspective of cost, the East DDA would assume the cost of maintaining the property, which would mean basically mowing it until we do something with it. So after reviewing the options, after looking at the business, I'm of the mind that this is not really a good bargain at this point for the East DDA, even as a donated property. But I did want to bring it to your attention. The developers have proposed it. They're actually on the agenda for the Planning Commission later tonight. So I want to get your feeling on whether this is something you might be interested in. If you are, then we would have them go ahead and put a formal proposal together and bring it back to you and make it part of their final site plan. If this is not something that interests you, then we would simply let them know that, and they would be required to deal with the requirements of the ordinance on their own. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
So Rodney, so they if they don't get this, if they don't have okay from the Burger King, they have to use another route.
They would essentially have to put in a driveway that would go over to Florence Street, and that would be their secondary access that would satisfy the ordinance requirement.
And then they have to buy a house or something there and demolish a house and do all that?
No, the house is across the street, and it's the main concern is with headlight glare. So they would have to orient the driveway in a way that would minimize that. It can be done. It just they would have to set the driveway up to do that.
Rodney, question?
Yeah.
If we don't take the alley all the way to the back, it would go like right behind the Pickard Street Party Store? It has to be a second exit, right?
Yeah, it's the party store's in the corner. There's a little house on Florence Street behind the party store. And so this would be south of that house. Basically between the two houses that are on that west side of Florence Street.
Okay. But not all the way to the south. If we take this piece, it's going to go farther to the south. Correct?
We would have to we certainly have to figure out how to design it, yes, but it conceivably would be further to the south. But that would be a future element. We'd have to figure out what we wanted to build and design it. As I said, unfortunately, this really needs additional land that neither we nor Dollar General control to become something that's actually beneficial. We're going to be able to connect together several properties with the service drive.
So they have to have that extra drive to have this to be approved for the Dollar General?
Yeah, that would give them the second connection or cross access that they need to satisfy the ordinance. Yeah.
If we were deeded the property, wouldn't we have to build them a second drive for their secondary access, because they still wouldn't be meeting the Planning Commission's needs, correct?
Yeah, the access management section, which applies to the M20 corridor, it has some specific requirements. It also has kind of some aspirational language. It's in my opinion that if they were to provide the land for a future connection, that we could work with that. The Planning Commission could work with that as a final site plan detail. As I said, if Burger King was amenable to it, we would have simply required them to make the connection to Burger King, and that would have provided the benefit there. But Burger King has to be amenable to that, and they are not. They're adamantly against it. So
it's already hard enough to get into Burger King at times, so he really screw him up too.
Did Dollar General express that they might pursue, you know, if EDA doesn't want to do this, that they would do a site plan with access to Florence, but then maybe pursue a variance?
That has not been discussed, but I suppose they could propose that.
Has anybody talked to Picker Street Party Store about where they would like it?
There's not really a good connection.
I know.
Yeah, it's just because of how the party store is set up, there's not a good way to connect through that lot.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess the question is there interest on the part of the EDA board to own this land and maintain it, with the idea that at some point down the road it might be developed for some kind of a service drive.
I don't know if it's me. I'm not seeing a strong benefit of having the service drive there. Especially having to them maintain it and have one more liability that's on an ongoing basis to maintain that strip of land. Obviously, I want to try to make Dollar General be successful in their endeavors, but taxpayers shouldn't be on the hook for that either.
Right.
Those are my thoughts.
Tom here. I was thinking the same thing Brian just said.
I would not be in favor of it, of acquiring the land.
Me neither.
It's just going to cost them a little extra concrete, and that's fine.
With that in mind, it certainly sounds like there's a pretty strong consensus against the idea. I'm comfortable. We don't necessarily need to take a formal action on this. I'll just simply report back to the Dollar General that there's no interest on the part of the EDA to accept the donation, and they'll have to proceed accordingly. Thank you.
So then let's move on to pending business. What do you got with the east and west? Tax increment financing?
Thank you. So we have a bit of a lull for you with regards to the plan update. The work is continuing on the draft plan. As I mentioned earlier, we are working on finalizing a meeting with the county officials and township officials to discuss the update and discuss potential expansion of the East EDA district, and just get a feeling from them as their comfort level with those things. The intent is to be bringing a draft plan to you at your July meeting with all the elements that we've been discussing brought together, and then hopefully proceeding forward from there through the adoption process if you're comfortable with it. Yeah, I think when you see the draft plan, you're not going to be surprised. We talked a lot about the pieces of it already with CIB planning, so they're just putting all the pieces together. So once we have the meeting with the county and we understand how comfortable they are with, for example, the various proposed expansion areas, the draft plan will be finalized accordingly, and we'll move forward from there. So unless there's any questions, I don't have anything else for you today with regards to that update.
One question on the survey results. My understanding is they probably collected that at this point, just based on previous comments on timing. Is that raw data something that we'll be given access to? I just have interest in seeing some of the raw data. I do definitely want their interpretation of that, but sometimes it's nice to see those comments. And
Yes, the survey results will be part of that, the material that you receive, absolutely.
Anything else on that? Hearing nothing, do you want to move on to your closed session?
I was just looking, I want to make sure, 2, 3,
We have
4.
8 already.
So I think, Marty, are you with us now?
Yeah, I've been listening to everything,
Okay.
but my audio is terrible.
We can hear you, Mark.
Okay, I'm listening on the phone. Thanks, Brian.
So I think actually, let's, if I can, I'm going to mute you again. If you would, I'll mute you, then go ahead and speak again, because I think your audio is coming through the phone. No, maybe not. I wonder, I thought that feedback was the phone, but apparently not.
Well, it says I'm unmuted. Is that right?
Well, you were just muted, and I thought you would come through the phone, but I tell you, no, we can leave it. It's quiet at the moment.
It's probably his speakers giving feedback into the phone. So you're using audio speakers with your computer.
Yeah.
If you can
So,
turn off
yeah,
your computer speakers and just use the phone to listen and talk, that would eliminate feedback. At least I think it will.
I can hear you, Brian. But I am getting feedback.
Turn off the volume. Mute yourself on your screen, Marty, and talk through the phone.
Here, I'm going to hit the phone here. Marty, I've asked you to unmute on your phone. So if you would look at the phone, you should have a request to unmute on it. Okay. How about now?
I'm still hearing you, Rodney. Yes.
That's good. Okay.
Much better.
Yep. No feedback.
Yep.
So
That's
so
good.
Tom,
Thank you.
So Tom, I don't have any other director's comments. So if we want to go ahead and move on to item 11, if you're ready for that.
Yeah, I think we can go on to item 11.
All right. So this item 11 is consideration of purchase or lease of real property. This is an item for which we can hold a closed session. The purpose of the closed session is to keep confidential, in this case, the specific property that's being considered. So we would invite a motion to take us into closed session.
Be happy to give a motion to go into closed session to consider the purchase of or lease of real property pursuant to Section 8D of the Open Meetings Act.
I will second it.
Tom, did you hear that?
Oh, sorry, I put myself on mute. So we got a motion by Brian, support by Chowdhury, to go into closed session.
This will need to be a roll call vote.
So I'll go down a list on page 13, the list of members. So Brian Melky,
Yes.
Jim Zalad,
You muted, Jim.
Yep, yes.
Bob Bacon,
Yes.
Sergeant Chowdhury,
Yes.
Jeff Sweet,
Yes.
Dave Coyne.
Yes.
And we have a unanimous vote to go into closed session. Motion carried.
Well, actually, we have six yes votes. Tom, we don't have yours, and
Oh,
we should. who are
yeah,
we
Tom
missing?
Pequam, yes.
I hear that too. Would I vote on that? If I'm listening,
Yep,
I
that's-
would vote yes. I vote yes also.
Now we have 8 yes votes.
Yeah, forgot about Marty and myself.
So,
Thank you.
8 of them.
Yep. So we don't have any members of the public with us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the recording, and that will allow us to be in our closed session here. So I'm going to, at this point, pause the recording.
5:38.
I have unpaused the recording. So you have before you a potential motion, if you're comfortable with it. It does reference specifically the property we've been discussing. As I said, we are going to move promptly on it. So I'm comfortable with going ahead with this language as presented.
All right, I move to authorize an appropriation of up to $250,000 for the purchase of 2 parcels totaling approximately 0.95 acres of land, PID 14-013-20-106-00 and -13-00 located at 5800 East Pickard Road on the southeast corner of Enterprise Drive for the payment of ancillary costs for the purchase and removal of a single-story 1,220-foot square house office building and associated site restoration. To authorize the Community and Economic Development Director and Public Services Director to negotiate the purchase on behalf of the EDA Board and to authorize the Township Manager to execute the purchase in accordance with this appropriation. So moved.
A second.
Can I interject really quick? If you could read the parcel ID number, because you misspoke it.
I challenge that, but okay. You want to read the whole thing, or I can just do the ID number?
Just the PID number, please, Jim.
Yep, the motion should read to include PID 14-013-20-006-00 and -013-00 located at 5800 East Pickard Road. That work?
It does.
Okay.
Motion by Jim Zalad, supported by Jeff Sweet, to approve this request for EDA board action. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, the same.
Bacon abstain.
1 abstention.
I would recommend to abstain from a vote. You have to essentially have a conflict of interest that's involved. So
Okay, then it's nay.
Yeah.
So we have 1 opposed vote with the majority favorable. And the motion is approved.
Thank you. We will pursue that and report back and on it as we move along.
Hey, Jim Zalett, I got to back up Amy Peak on that one. You did substitute you added a 1 in front of that 06.
Ah. It's dangerous, so my apologies for wasting the board's time.
What else we have, Rodney?
That brings us to the end of our agenda.
Thank you for the work of you, Rodney, and the staff, and Jennifer, in bringing this to our attention.
But Tom, unless you have something else, that concludes the agenda for today.
So, hearing no more comment, let's call this meeting adjourned at 5:43 p.m. And we'll see everybody the next scheduled meeting, Tuesday, July 20th.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Tom.
much.
Tom, and
Thank
Jeff,
you.
you're 2 minutes
Thank you.
early.
Good night.
Good night.